Ah, the grand spectacle of modern diplomacy, where President Donald Trump, the maestro of negotiation and self-proclaimed dealmaker, winds his way through the Persian Gulf with all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop. As he embarks on this high-stakes tour, one cannot help but marvel at the sheer audacity of it all. With a deft hand and a keen eye for business, Trump is targeting strategic partnerships with the oil-rich nations of Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. The official focus? Business, naturally. But as always, the true narrative is a delightful tapestry of chaos and contradiction. Trump's first major foreign visit of his new term is set against the delightful backdrop of nuclear negotiations with Iran that drag on like a never-ending soap opera, and the ever-festive war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Because nothing says stability like entering a region simmering with tension to chat about commerce and cultural exchanges. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, with the kind of optimism usually reserved for motivational posters, described the mission as part of Trump's broader vision that extremism is defeated through commerce and cultural exchanges, as if a few business deals are the secret elixir to world peace. Yet under Trump's leadership, the U.S. has warmed relations with regional leaders, reversing the chilly reception under former President Joe Biden, who had the audacity to call Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman a pariah over that little incident involving journalist Jamal Khashoggi. But not to worry, Trump has embraced a more transactional approach, because nothing mends fences like a good old-fashioned business deal. Saudi Arabia, rolling out the red carpet for its favorite American businessman, has pledged a casual $600 billion in U.S. investments. The plan includes everything from weapons purchases to technology transfers. Trump, ever the optimist, believes the Saudis may ultimately commit up to $1 trillion. It's the kind of monopoly money promise that's bound to make any capitalist swoon. Of course, these investments are heavily dependent on oil revenues, which might just be threatened by Trump's push to lower global energy prices. But what's a little economic contradiction among friends? In addition to economic deals, Trump and bin Salman are expected to discuss a possible civil nuclear program and expanded defense cooperation. Because when you think peace and stability, your mind immediately jumps to nuclear programs and defense expansions, right? But let us not forget the diplomatic dance around Israeli-Palestinian relations. Riyadh, with a flair for the dramatic, has made it clear it won't recognize Israel unless Palestinian statehood is on the table. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, has staunchly opposed such a notion, leading to the inevitable conclusion that Trump's itinerary includes no stop in Israel. Because why attempt to solve a decades-old conflict when you can simply bypass it entirely? In a move hailed as monumental by Trump, Hamas released Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander ahead of the trip. It's the kind of gesture that's supposed to signal goodwill, yet one can't help but wonder if it's merely a well-timed PR stunt. Meanwhile, the UAE, eager to boost ties and become a global AI leader, has promised $1.4 trillion in U.S. investments over the next decade. They've gone even further than the Saudis, focusing on AI, semiconductors, manufacturing, and energy. Who knew world peace could be bought with a few microchips? The U.S., in response, announced that Trump would rescind the Biden-era restrictions on AI exports. Because why keep advanced technologies out of the hands of potential adversaries when you can throw caution to the wind in the name of economic advancement? Trump's Whirlwind Gulf Tour, a 3-day extravaganza of political maneuvering, begins in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He'll headline the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum, undoubtedly charming audiences with his unique blend of charisma and hyperbole. On Wednesday, Trump will attend a Gulf Cooperation Council meeting before jetting off to Qatar, where he'll engage in talks with Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and visit the U.S. military's Al Udeid Air Base. Thursday's final act takes place in Abu Dhabi, where Trump will meet UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And just to ensure the trip is as theatrical as possible, the Qataris have offered Trump the use of a Royal Boeing 747-8, typically reserved for the Qatari royal family, to serve as Air Force One. Because nothing screams diplomacy like borrowing a plane fit for a king. In the meantime, Iran, ever the watchful neighbor, is expected to keep a close eye on Trump's Gulf meetings. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has already made unannounced visits to both Saudi Arabia and Qatar, likely in hopes of passing messages to Washington. But rest assured, all three of Trump's host nations remain wary of Iran's ambitions. Because in the Middle East, trust is as scarce as an honest politician. So, dear viewers, as we watch this diplomatic circus unfold, one must ask, what do you think of Trump's grand tour of the Persian Gulf? Is it a masterstroke of diplomacy or a misguided attempt at peacemaking through commerce? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this satirical take on current events, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more witty commentary and biting analysis. Hit that like button if you agree with our perspective, and consider sharing this video with your friends who appreciate a good dose of irony. After all, in a world that often feels upside down, a little humor goes a long way.